about former President Trump. Let me just ask you this quite simply. Why haven't you endorsed him yet?
Well, the campaign is still going. There's a very good chance I would endorse
He's
President
the clear
Trump.
front runner.
You know
He's
what?
the clear front runner. What are you waiting for?
Well, I believe... Well, you know what? Because I've got a southern border wide open. I got war in the Middle East. I got things I'm focused on right now. I believe President Trump will be our nominee, and I believe President Trump will get reelected.
Are you still a MAGA Republican, Mr. Speaker?
He has brought it chaos. You know what? I am a conservative Republican from the beginning to the end, and that's what I've always been. You can try to phrase different names to people, but I'm proud of who I am.
Do you think Tom Emmer will actually be able to get enough votes to be Speaker? Because all of my reporting suggests it's an uphill battle.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So here we are, man. We're right back at the beginning. We're right back at square one, looking for a Speaker of the House so that we can at least pretend something's going to get done, pretend we got a chance of getting something fixed, like anything even matters anymore. Because if I'm being honest, let me know in the comments if you guys are feeling the same way, but I'm a little pessimistic ever since all the RINOs revealed themselves and literally stabbed Jim Jordan in the back, right? Honestly, way more RINOs than I ever thought possible that our party had. But, you know, honestly, I guess if I could make myself think positive, Jim Jordan is probably the most conservative candidate for Speaker in the last 30 years. And a lot of people voted for him. So I guess there's that. You know, I don't know how much of that was public pressure or how much they actually really wanted to. I don't know. But now where are we? Instead of one guy trying to bring the caucus together, we have 9 and probably counting. Some good, some super RINO, right? And one, if you ask me, absolute shining star in Byron Donalds. And, you know, if you guys have been paying attention in any of these Speaker races, even 9 months ago with McCarthy, you know, we always end up with basically the one that the establishment, special interests, all-powerful uniparty puppet masters, the one that they want, and then the candidate that you and me want, right? The candidate that the people want. And I think the way this is going to shape up is between Tom Emmer and Byron Donalds. So Tom Emmer is third in line in the Republican power brokers, and I think he's probably the direction that the puppet masters are going to go. He's got some ideas that scare the hell out of me, like getting rid of the Electoral College, for one. That's a non-starter. That's no good. Anyway, so they got him. And then I think you're going to have Byron Donalds on our side, who actually has a 100% Liberty score. So he always, 100% of the time, has voted with the conservative cause in everything that he's done. The dude is a literal superhero. And of course, you know, he is just absolutely a liberal's worst nightmare. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. And here's just a little taste of why he really is that nightmare for him.
Even if you listen to the last segment with Jake, everything that was just talked about is not on the minds of independent voters in America. They are focused on the things that are affecting their families. First and foremost, has my child actually caught up from being locked out of schools for 2 years? Is fentanyl, which is a major issue in so many communities around our country, is the president going to do the job of securing our border and stopping the drug cartels from having operational control of our southern border? Are we going to maintain the dollar as the world's reserve currency while China's trying to negotiate around the United States? Inflation, yes, the year-over-year number is trending down, but the impact of inflation on the American family has completely devalued their wages over the last 2 years. Those are the things that really matter to Americans.
Yeah, so there's that. And honestly, you know, probably the guy's got to be one of the most eloquent and thoughtful conservatives, not just currently and not just in politics, but that I've ever seen, man. I like the way he delivers things. You know, he's always respectful. He apologizes for nothing. He doesn't get backed into a corner. And he doesn't, you know, he's always on the offense. The guy's very clear, very concise. And honestly, as I'm thinking this, he reminds me a lot of Vivek. And a future, of course, future. But what would a ticket, a future Ramaswamy Donalds or Donalds Ramaswamy, what would that look like, man? That would be like a true conservative intellectual powerhouse. But anyway, I mean, the reason I like that, the reason I like these guys and guys like that is their ability to convey a message, right? You know, conservatives always say, and it's true, you know, they say when they're talking about censorship or against deplatforming, things like that, we always say that you don't beat a bad idea by silencing it. which is true. You defeat a bad idea by putting forth a better idea. And I believe this. This is absolutely 100% without a doubt true. But here's the problem. Republicans, they have those great ideas. Well, not Republicans. Republicans probably don't have any great ideas. Conservatives have those great ideas, but they suck at messaging. They suck at explaining things to normal people. I don't know why. I don't know if they're too Poindexter. I just don't know why. Got picked last kind of guys generally. I don't know. But here's what I'm talking about. Like, if they had a policy, most of their policies are good for everyone. They're not just good for this group or that group or this special interests or, this protected class. Their stuff is like a rising tide lifts all boats sort of stuff, the good policy. When they have these, the left just frames it very, very lazily, but they phrase it as something that doesn't quite help the poor as much as it does these other guys, or it doesn't help this protected class like it helps everyone else. They're not even clever with it anymore with the way they slander these bills and slander these policies, but they get away with it every single time. And it's not because they're smart, and it's not because the public is stupid. It's because Republicans are weak, man. They cannot communicate, and they're just so conditioned to be on the defensive, which is very, very unlike Democrats, to their credit. They stay on the offense, man. It's actually pretty damn impressive. And speaking of Democrats, AOC, of all people, has come out against Byron Donalds wanting to be Speaker of the House, saying that he lacks experience.
So you mentioned your colleagues in the Congress. Before we run out of time, I've got to ask you about the House itself. You have no speaker right now. The Republicans defenestrated Kevin McCarthy, couldn't agree on Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan. Now Byron Donalds, congressman from Florida, wants to be speaker. What do you make of him?
He's only served one term in the U.S. House of Representatives. Last thing that he did in an oversight committee was attempt to submit falsified evidence to an impeachment hearing. I think it helps to know where all the bathrooms are before you run for the U.S. House of Representatives personally. And I think it helps to have some real experience in one of the most complex legislative bodies in the world before you try to run it.
Yeah, so that's trash, by the way. First, she's a liar, a complete and total liar. She's peddling her own lazy talking points. Who peddles their own talking points? And she gets no pushback from this knucklehead on TV. Honestly, if she thought the guy provided falsified records, why hasn't she herself filed an ethics complaint? She hasn't, because she doesn't believe it. And just a quick refresher of what she's actually talking about. She had no problem with the message that he brought to committee. She just didn't like the format. It was a text message that allegedly was proving our president is corrupt. The message is real. She didn't contest that the message was real. Nobody has contested that the message is real. She complained that it was typed up in a nice format instead of being in its original screenshot. That's what she meant by a falsified record. And this is honestly how incredibly disingenuous that these people really are. And honestly, what has she done in Congress besides things just like this? What has she accomplished? Next to nothing. If you guys, I know I got a lot of AOC fans bugging me about some of my shorts that I put up. Guys, what has she done? What has she accomplished? If anyone can tell me, please do. And what would she do as Speaker? Here's what Donalds would do if he was elected Speaker.
Yes, this morning. So what is your pitch to the GOP conference? What are your priorities?
My pitch is very simple. First, we got to get back to work immediately. We have to get these appropriation bills done. We must secure our border. If we're going to continue government funding, the border must be secured, and the White House has to realize that and take us seriously. Number two, we have a true ability to expand our majorities past this Congress. We can do that with strong, direct leadership where the White House knows where we stand. The American people see the strategies and the work that the Republican majority is trying to get done. I totally believe that. And number three, we can have unity in our conference. It's going to start with a fresh voice in leadership, working with all of our colleagues to accomplish the mission that our voters sent here to do.
Byron, I'm concerned. You talk about the border. We just did a story on it. It's frightening, the number of known terrorists. We went from 0 known terrorists captured under Donald Trump to now record numbers. We're in over 160. That doesn't count the 50,000 Chinese who have come across the border just in the last year. This is really scary. And we have this bill coming up, that Biden has put forward where, he has money dedicated to the border, but I feel like that's just for enforcement. What can Congress do to make sure, it's for processing versus enforcement. What can Congress do to make sure it's used to protect our border and enforce security there versus just using it to process more people?
Well, let me be very clear. We don't have a money problem with respect to the southern border. We have a policy problem. The policies were put in place by Joe Biden when he became president of the United States. Those policies have to be reversed. House Republicans have supported the strongest border security package that has ever passed the House of Representatives in H.R. 2. The elements of H.R. 2, frankly, all of it should be implemented immediately by the White House. They can do this tomorrow. So if the White House is going to come and say they want more money, then we're going to say, no, you need to change your policies, because the American people want to be supportive around the globe. We are going to be supportive of Israel, but we must secure our border. It must occur, and it needs to happen immediately.
How could this possibly not make sense to basically anyone? How is this a radical idea, guys? I mean, it's just insane that this is now radical, right? We can support other people's sovereignty. We can support their defense. We can help them secure their own borders. But none of that makes any sense at all if we aren't serious about securing our own and taking care of our own. We're in a position where we're literally exporting security, and we're at the same time importing the world's issues and importing the world's problems. It's just flooding through the southern border, and that's just not sustainable. It doesn't make sense, and it's not about anti-immigrant or populist this or that. It's just not a sustainable situation. It can't be, So he's absolutely correct, man, to bring it up and tie as many strings to this money and this defense, these packets as possible, right? I mean, the next Speaker of the House has got to be willing to do these things, and they have got to be willing to strike while the iron is hot, man. And it's hot right now because the American people, according to polling, trust the conservative agenda for their border security and for their economic needs, at least, right? Do not waste that. Do not waste that. Secure the border, reduce inflation, strengthen the dollar, reduce the debt. And to all the people who say that, it would never get past the Senate, first, we don't know that because the tide is turning as far as public opinion. But you have to craft the bills. You have to vote on them. You have to get yourself on the record, and you have to make the Senate get on theirs. You got to make them either take a stand or have your back. That's what we need. In my opinion, and honestly, guys, Donald's may be, honestly, the only person on this list that has a shot at even pretending that he's about to do that or that he would be willing to do that. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out, guys. That's just my take. Let me know your take in the comments. I'm really, really curious to know. Look at the list of 9 and let me know what you think. And guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. We'll see you in the next one.